want to tell you a little bit about the Long Island Immigrant Alliance. It's an alliance that was formed after the attempted murder of two Mexican day laborers. That was in the year 2000. And it was a response to a local response to a national issue. The rise of anti-immigrant sentiment created the opportunity for people who have hate in their heart to basically assault people who were just trying to earn a living, people who have come here to participate in the American dream, not to take anything away from the nation, but to contribute, and to contribute solidly. Messaging is critically important. We're often distracted from our message by folks who have a lot of resources behind them and are able to come up with strategic communication plans. And they're very effective. But underlying all of their messaging are messages of hate. And supporting that are extremist views. And we often hear things like, the immigrants today are different from the ones that were yesterday. You know, the ones from yesterday were good ones. Well, I can tell you that even before the founding of this republic in 1771, Benjamin Franklin was already lamenting the hordes of Germans that were coming in. And many of the things that they said about the immigrants today, they said that a few years later, during the third presidency, there was an influx of French, and it was the same thing. And throughout our history, you see this repeated. And to quickly move through that, all of us know about the Irish immigration of the mid-1800s. And that led to a conception that embodied all types of messages of hate and extremism and the devaluation of people, and it was encapsulated in a little phrase, Nina. And it meant no Irish need apply. What we're not told is that at the same time, there was about the same amount of immigration from Germany. The Germans settled west, which at that time was something like Nebraska. But you had the same type of hateful response to people who were coming here to contribute to the building of this great and prosperous nation. But their churches were bombed. Some of them were murdered. They were forced out of their houses. And some of the legislators would say, there are so many Germans here that now we have to do bilingual education. Now, doesn't that sound familiar? Right?
No.
And just during the end of the 1800s, we started to get an influx of people from Eastern and Southern Europe. And they were met with the same thing, messages of hate, actions that were extremist. And that led to the first immigration laws in the 1920s. And principally because the institution of immigration is also based on the refinement and reification of the institution of racism. The Southern and Eastern Europeans were not seen as white enough, and also as the threat that they would devalue and corrupt the culture. Same thing as the Germans in the 1770s. But why I say that the institution of racism and racism and immigration policy is tied and refined each other and operate simultaneously is because since the 1600s, as my good friend Lucius will tell you, there are a group of people who came here not voluntarily, and they were brought here to work, and they were brought here in chains, and they were treated horribly. Right? experiencing the consequences of that, and that's our African American brothers and sisters. So this question of immigration and the statement that immigrants today are different from the ones yesterday is absolutely not true. They always come up with little names that encapsulate, as I said, all of these messages of hate and give rise to violence for people who have hatred in their heart. And so, for example, WAP. What that means is without papers. All right? And that's what Italians would call just yesterday. As a matter of fact, in the 1960s in Westbury, we had Italian day laborers. But today, as I said, there are people here who have opposing views. We want to have a good dialogue, a civil dialogue. We're going to talk about the positive contributions that immigrants not only have made, but continue to make. And how to get that message across. How to deal with people who have hate in their heart, and how to deal with voices of extremism. And it's important to get accurate information out to the people on Long Island, because as you know, the majority of the people on Long Island are level-headed people. There's a vociferous minority that calls attention to Long Island, Suffolk County in particular. But Long Island has gotten the reputation of being anti-immigrant. With the need for labor that we're going to have in the next in the foreseeable future, the wrong message to send out to the world and to the nation is that Long Island is anti-immigrant. So let's have a civil discussion. And I want to introduce a good friend, Mark.